You have reached Mike. Actually, it's just a recording of my voice, and I'm off doing something else. Go ahead and leave a message.
Welcome to the FNRad Snowboarding Podcast. I'm Eric Charlson, and this is episode 15.
Yeah, I didn't start even riding till I was 65 years old.
The first board I rode was this plastic Sims Lonnie Toft with a skate deck.
Snowboarding is exactly the same as it used to be. It's just, everybody wants something from it.
I don't know if I can endure any more shitty winters.
We're going to be okay, and that's all that matters.
You can put it away for a while, but you can't put it away forever because it's just almost like a spiritual thing.
Mike Ranquet is one of a handful of sponsored skateboarders who started competing in snowboarding in the early 1980s. Ranquet's influence on snowboarding cannot be overstated. He was the original poster boy for the punk rock bad attitude that made snowboarding appeal to skaters like me. Gaining a reputation as a shit disturber by doing things like getting kicked out of Japan, Ranquet's marketability skyrocketed in the early 90s. He never ceased to call bullshit on anything he saw as lame. And he could ride backwards better than most people could ride forwards. His crew, the MBHC, was the most dedicated and influential group of snowboarders ever. Period. If you love snowboarding, you owe a debt of gratitude to the MBHC, because without them, there's a good chance snowboarding would have remained a kookier outlier like kiteboarding or skimboarding. No offense intended. I love both those sports, but they never got cool, Mike Ranquet left pro snowboarding due to an injury and followed a girl to Hawaii, where he lives now, raising his twin girls, skateboarding, surfing, and working in an ice factory.
My friend Dennis has a ice making company, basically. He delivers ice to different restaurants and all that shit. Because Dennis is super fucking cool, too. So it's like, it'd be like working for, just a buddy, you know what I mean? So it's pretty funny. You got to wear many different hats over here, Before my hip surgery, I couldn't even skate, snowboard. I couldn't do anything. I kind of looked at a place to kind of heal. And at the time, I didn't know how severe my hip was. And I ended up getting the surgery done in Chicago, but it came back here. And exactly what I did was just healed from that, just with getting in the water. And there's a lot of crazy energy here if you can, kind of tap into it, Yeah, it's a good place to heal. That's for goddamn sure. It's a good place anyways, but good place to heal. I'm a snowboarder, skateboarder, and about Hawaii, and then say going out in the water and shit. I kind of know what it's like at the top of the totem pole in some aspects of board sports, so I know what to do at the bottom of the totem pole where I am here. So as long as you act accordingly, you're okay,
You did skate before you snowboarded.
Yeah, for years. That's what got me into snowboarding, was seeing probably some Burton or Sims quarter page ad in the back, and I'd already skied, and at the time I was probably 13, I was learning to be a ski instructor of little kids, right? The way you had to do that was regress your skiing and learn to ski all over again, go through the snow plug, is to get this instructor license. And as I was getting that license, that month, it was probably November, I was skateboarding in empty pools all week, so we'd be jump into some crazy pool up in Edmonds and bail it out and be able to get 20 runs in before the cops came, running through the woods, and it was so crazy. Skateboarding was so expressive and do it yourself, and then I'd come up to skiing on the weekends, and it was just flatline, okay, well, put 60% of your weight on this edge. I was fuck this, I think I probably would have stopped skiing because it just seemed so restrictive to me. It seemed more like a technique than a passion, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it just made sense. I just started snowboarding, and I think I just did it in the neighborhood with this kid Gil. He and I went to Ski Acres one night. It was the first time we'd ever been to a ski area. So Ski Acres allowed snowboarding, one night a week. One night a week for an hour or something. It was seriously. So the first time Gil and I went up to the ski area, we were both skiers, so kind of frustrating because we knew we could go down this mountain on skis just fine, but we were on these fucking archaic boards. And just then, Craig pops over the stint.
That first day, Mike and his friend Gil met Craig Kelly, who would be one of Mike's very good friends for the next 20 years. If you don't know about Craig Kelly and the impact he had on the sport, We're going to do a big Craig episode next season to fill you in. For now, you'll have to take our word that he was arguably the most important individual to ever take up snowboarding.
Literally rides down in front of us on this little mogul field that we just both asked each other, like, what if that's even possible on a snowboard? And like in movie script, get back, let snowboarder in place, There was Craig, just ripping down right on the lip. And you had to point it through the flats to get to the chairlift, so I just started pointing it. And I was like, I gotta meet that guy, Literally the first snowboarder I ever saw, besides Gil, we both just started. It was Craig.
What boards were you riding?
It was on a Woody. It was some 1400 Woody. I don't know, like the one without high backs, no metal edges. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure Gil was on a similar setup. And, Craig came fucking flying down this Sims board, I think, and he just looked badass, It was like, dude, because what we were doing sucked. But what he was doing looked fun, And I remember we exchanged, I rode up and I was like, no one in line. It was raining that night. I was like, single, and he just turned around to me and just gave me this look I got a lot over the years, which was just a look of annoyance. Like disappointment and annoyance. I got that look from Craig a lot. And that was the first time. And so we went up and got each other's names. I think I gave him my phone number. Well, I know I did because he called me like 3 days later, which I couldn't believe. He invited me up to Mount Baker that weekend. And at that time, so I went up there. I skated with Jeff Fulton at a couple of skateboard contests in Seattle. And so when I got up here, he recognized me. In fact, we were in a skateboard contest together. I got him to get bumped from B class to A class, or something because he was so good, Yes. And then I won the B class. It looked I screwed him out, what I mean?
Perfect.
So we had that between us, which was even then it was funny, And then. I met Dano that weekend, and Jeff. It was more probably met him properly. We'd been to a couple contests together, just early days, Northwest. I'm sure Sean Kearns was there, you know what I mean? That type of shit. It was cool to see Jeff up there. Okay, cool, I know a skateboarder that does this. And then, then it just started. I don't know, we just started all riding together. Those guys were already riding together. I was like the Grom.
Jeff Fulton and Dan Donnelly had already formed the MBHC. Accepting Ranquet into the group would give him an opportunity to ride with some of the best snowboarders on the planet at the time. Mike's strong roots in skateboarding immediately gave him the ability to weed out snowboarding's early tendency for kookiness.
I'd already been to Del Mar Skate Ranch and seen the best skaters in the world, 8 inches from my face do fucking airs well over my head out of an 8-foot bowl and do it with so much style and so much power. I scoffed at what everyone was doing already. The first World Championships, I was already just, in my head, just what a bunch of buffoons. Right. Board sports gone wild, just fucking a bunch of idiots, And not that everybody was in it, but there was no sense of, there was no barometer of style. There's no one person saying, this is cool, that's not. There needed to be. And I kind of morphed into that over the years.
Yeah, definitely.
I saw a hole in the market, and I filled it.
There you go. Exactly.
There's a difference between me and probably most snowboarders that were at that first World Championships, or I should say the ones of us from Mount Baker, and probably the ones from Tahoe, certainly not ones of the East, but we had seen the potential because we've been riding shit like we just rode today. You know what I mean? I rode that shit at 15, 14 years old. So to me, skateboarding's gnarly, but it ain't got shit on this. Right. If I fall skateboarding, I'm going to get hurt really bad. It ain't going to fucking kill me. Mm-hmm. And Baker was so badass. I just saw it it's going to take a long time for, to convince anyone otherwise because of the travesty of, almost comedy of errors going on with snowboarding's image. You know what I mean? I remember trying to talk to Lance Mountain in 1986 about snowboarding because I knew he'd snowboarded once, and he just scoffed at it and, just made, and I was like, fuck. It's going to be tough. But in my head, I was like, these guys just haven't seen what I've seen. Here's a little sidebar. Because I live in Maui, because it's one of the windiest places in the fucking world, I finally said, okay. And because all my friends work in the kite industry and, equipment, is aplenty, I was like, okay, I'm going to learn to kite. And the one thing I'll say about that sport, besides that it is fun as shit, is that it is a completely unbridled board sport. There was no one in that sport 15 years ago going, hey guys, you know what? That shit we do in there is pretty fucking gay. And we should probably figure out some other stuff to do, because otherwise we're just going to be branded as a really stupid looking board sport. And we're going to be stuck there, and no one's going to have a barometer. And so to me, kite surfing and windsurfing is snowboarding without me and Roach. You know what I mean? Like, if you threw someone like me or them into that sport 15, 20 years ago, kite surfing in particular, it would be cooler. It just would. But it's a really fun thing to do, you know? Like, it is. Like, there's cool technical aspects of it. But, you know, there's no one from the skate world in kiting. No one from the skateboard world in windsurfing at all. Might be some skateboarders randomly, some French dudes that skate and windsurf too, but not really per se as far as the pro level or snowboarding lucked out, basically.
All right, so your first snowboarding sponsor would be probably the Sims or something.
Not Canoe. And again, like, I knew those guys from like the weird little skateboard circuit of the early '80s in Seattle, and it was kind of like, you know, I remember a couple guys were like, yeah, those guys have a snowboard company. Those two weird guys, you know. They were weird back then to everybody, you know. They've always been who they are, you know. And I don't know how it happened, but ended up setting me up with a board.
What board did you get? Do you remember?
Swallowtail. It was like when they were still processing in their parents' garage, I think.
I've only seen the reissue of that. I didn't realize that.
I have it over there. I have it like a block away.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
Are you serious? I gotta see it. Your original first board that you got from fucking Mike and Pete?
Yeah.
That board is like, it should be in a museum somewhere. Like, this is a real thing.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Everybody wanted to ride for Sims. And I didn't know how it happened. They just ended up floating me aboard. It didn't seem like that big of a deal to me at the time. Yeah. I was like, okay, cool, thanks, guys. You know, I appreciated it for sure. I was excited. I remember Tom Sims then at the 86 Worlds asked me to be on Sims team. Fucking, of course I said yes. You know? Like, I'm not going to say no to Tom Sims, you know, like. So I went like kind of back and forth a little bit. So I finally like settled on Sims, was with them for, I don't even know what years, 69 to 74, I think. That's what it feels like I'm talking about right now. And then something happened, probably got kicked off the team, and then GNS picked me up. Henry Hester saw like a je ne sais quoi on me, you know what I mean? Whereas everybody else saw me as like an ass clown, or you know what I mean? Or like a troublemaker, just like more a troublemaker than the first. Well, I think Henry Hester just saw like, whoa, fucking, actually this kid's on it, you know?
He's got that thing.
He came from skateboarding, you know, like, so he could see where I came from.
Champ, like a big
yeah, so it's like, and then, I don't know, just from there, they started promoting me. They started utilizing me, you know, like, and then just kind of grew from there.
Did they have other boards? Like, they have a
board? They had like an SQ160, which was a square nose. No, it was cool though. Like, I thought they were overstepping the boundaries of even giving me a pro model, to be honest.
You were pushing boundaries at that time.
I totally was. I just felt like, so in Craig's shadow and in Dano's shadow, and they just got their pro models. Craig, I don't even think had his pro model with Burton yet.
He was riding the black.
Yeah. So it's like, no, like I felt guilty. I felt like a little bit like, you know, I just wish it was a little bit more established, you know. Mm-hmm. But I guess I was part of the people that established the idea of having a pro model, whereas I doubted it at first, but nobody else did. You know what I mean? I was like, why are you giving me a pro model? Everyone was like, that's cool, you know. But to me, it was like downplay because ultimately, I didn't care. Like, I just wanted to skate. You know what I mean? Like, snowboarding was almost like a way for me to be able to skate everywhere too, and skate with good dudes and get in on good sessions and kind of like utilize whatever I had in snowboarding. And I never skated for anyone per se, like except independent. So I just got decks from this guy for a while and wheels, you know, just got flow here and there. I was never locked down through all my like late teens and early 20s. There was all my friends at the time, they were all sponsored skaters, and I never felt an urge to have to learn a trick on a skateboard. Snowboarding, I totally did. Snowboarding, I felt that pressure, but I didn't want it in both sports. So I was like, I'm just going to cut skating off and just keep doing it. I want to keep this for myself. All through my early 20s, I was able to just go skate. I never worried if I got hurt, didn't worry if I got a photo, and I never took anyone's offers to do for anything other than like, oh, you have a deck for me? Okay, cool, thanks a lot. I'll put grip tape on it and I'll use it. Yeah, I like the shape. Cool, thank you. Other than that, it was like I just had no obligations, and I made sure of that type thing. Like, I never did big photo shoots skateboarding. Like, there are photos of me, there are videos of me from back then, but like it was never like snowboarding where it was like you go do a photo shoot, you go, you know, like come down to the ramp, let's take photos. That never really happened. It was more like somebody just happened to be there with a camera.
When you guys would go and compete against the world, like say in Alaska or something, 99% of the people that are at the contest are out of their element.
Yeah.
You guys are like, oh, it's a Big Baker.
I can remember that my first flight in Alaska, first time I ever touched down in Alaska and got out of the heli. I was with Tom Burt. But it is a longer story. I give you the shortest version. Scared shitless, get out of the helicopter, and when I finally got over the knuckle and looked down, I was like, fucking cake, are you kidding? And Tom Burt's up there freaking out and takes like 60 turns on the way down, and I literally I just let it run. Like, I took like 4 turns. And like he was tripping even, like, but he knew why. Like even Tom was like, "Oh, dude, you're in your element. You're one of the only ones up here that is used to this, you know."
Oh, that's killer.
Because like everything's exposed here. You're used to being over something where, like, even to traverse out to some of the lines, if you fuck up, you're gonna fucking die.
Yeah,
you know, you will. If you fall backwards, hit your head, you'll fucking die. You know. Like,
yeah, when you were like, today, are you good with a bit of shitty ice in the middle?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's good. And then as we're going down that thing, I'm like, I need to make sure I don't fucking flip over that.
Yeah, totally.
Because it's and actually,
and you would have been fine in that.
Yeah, once
like,
I got down,
it's more that turn
oh,
that we were doing up above, that sinky turn. If that thing would have
slid,
slid, you'd be dead. No, you're over 80-foot cliff. We're right above 80 footers right there. So it's like
and you're just like mellow, nice mellow turn in there. I'm like, maybe I'll go a little deeper than he went.
Yeah.
Sure,
yeah.
That's a sick turn in there.
Yeah, it's super fun.
Beautiful,
Dude. Yeah.
Right?
But you're completely exposed. So I was doing that same turn when I was 15 years old.
Yeah.
Going, oh shit, okay, it's over that big cliff. So when I was in Alaska, it's like everything's exposed up there, but you're used to it already from being at Baker, where everything's, you know, you're exposed.
Because everywhere where you're meeting people for competitions, like you go down to Mountain Hood.
It's a joke.
There's certain people that are like, have just been on that low angle stuff, just practicing, like they got whatever they've got, ballerina spins or whatever, because it's just this. But once you get to the Alaska stuff,
dude,
you guys are just laughing. That would have been a big leg up for Craig Kelly as well, obviously.
Yeah, for all of us. So like, I remember I was up there for about a week when Craig came up. That my first trip up to Alaska, and he was like, "You think kind of like you settling in good up here?" And I was just looking at him like, no. The first time I ever said this, I said to him, I go, snowboarding as a sport is now defined. That's what I told him. Because I always told him, I said, this is an undefined sport. Yeah, because it was going every which way through the, like, even early 90s. I thought it was like half of it was really goofy, and there was no unit, like, okay, this is cool, this isn't type, like a skateboarding or a surfing. I was just going to kind of like whatever route. When I went up to Alaska, I was like, snowboarding is now defined. This, because you can't do this surfing, you can't do this skateboarding. This isn't a trick. This isn't like, you know what I mean? This isn't trying to be another sport anymore. This is something well. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Because
it became defined my first day in Valdez, Alaska. It was like, done. Now I'm proud to be a snowboarder. I'll fucking argue anyone down. I'll fucking, you know what I mean? Like before, it was like, okay, you got me. The jester hat. You know what I mean? Fuck. Like just walk away my head and we're like, oh god. Yeah, but like now it's like, no, fuck you. You know, like
that's the start of everything that led to like Johan. That led to
yeah, totally.
Everything that is
everything
like
good. Like that. All the free riding, all the big mountain riding, all the fucking Craig hiking, all that shit started. I think it's first trip in Alaska. It's like just opened everyone's eyes. Like
there's a thing.
Oh, we can just fly right up there. Fuck. Huh. I think I'll be in the hotel room for a little while. Like,
was there ever any? Were you ever on a trip where you're like, man, this is a little more than
Are you kidding? Every morning after that first, every morning I woke up in Alaska, and every single morning you wake up when it's sunny out, I just get like a lump in my throat. I'm not even excited. I'm just like, it's just scary to me. It's like because I'm not up there to like go. Let's just go check this room. You know, you're up there fucking flying around $1,000 an hour, $2,000 an hour. And you got people paying for it, and they want. But more than anything, I want to do it. I know what I'm capable of, and I know what I'll try to do, and that just scares me. Because like it doesn't matter once an avalanche rips what you think you're capable of and what you think you want to try to do. You're fucked, you know. Like so, it's like there's a whole different world up there. It's like.
So at what point did you kind of put yourself into the role of flatland freestyler guy?
That was probably we were in France, like filming Critical Condition or Riders on the Storm, one of those two movies, And we were coming over this roller every run, like on our way out to these little fucking rad lines that we're doing in, I think, Val d'Isere, I want to say. But like there's this long ass cat track, but there was a curb cut, like seriously curb cut high, like 6 inches high for like a mile. And at the time it was like 89 probably. I was doing frontside lip side skateboarding a lot, like where you just lock your back leg and just And so, like, I just saw this curb cut, and I was like, "Hey, Sean, check this out." To Farmer, and I just went up, jumped onto it, and just locked it for like 200 feet at speed. And he was like, "What the fuck was that?" And I was like, "I don't know." And so we just kept riding. I kept doing it at this one spot all day that day, and then I just started doing it everywhere. I came back home. I remember doing it at Baker like that spring. People just kind of tripping, like, "What the fuck is that?" And then it was like it was 2 years later. We were riding with Dave Cioni out in Breckenridge, and I was doing it all over Breckenridge because it was flat as fuck, and that's where Terrier was kind of picking up on it too. Like, and I was just kind of like toying with this stuff I'd been toying with for a while, and maybe honing it a little bit. And Dave Cioni was like, "Oh, dude, we got to film that." And I was like, I remember just going, "No," and he was like, "No, let me film that for a couple of times, basically." And then he just got me in the groove of it. He was like, "No, those look sick," and Cardio and Terrier were like, "No, those look rad," and I was like, "Okay." And so we filmed a couple. And I remember the first one we filmed, I was like, and I pop out, and I look right in the camera. You can see it in Roadkill. I got my long, goofy hair and this goofy hat. And I look at him like, you can see me in the camera going, "What the fuck? Like, why? Kind of like, why are you even filming me?" Like, it's one of the first butter shots in the movie. And probably one of the first ones ever filmed. But I was just kind of like looking at him like, I was annoyed that he was filming me. Because he came around the side, I remember. And I remember I was just doing the butter, and I just popped out, and I was like that, and it's in the movie, like this look on my face, like, why are you filming this?
I like remember seeing that being like, that guy's so bad.
Yeah, like he doesn't give a fuck. He's like in your face. I'm more like why are we filming this? Yeah,
like what?
And it wasn't like a what, like, dude, check that out.
Yeah,
it was like what, like that was goofy, that didn't feel good. Like, and then it just, I remember even that night, it was when we got to Baker. We were sitting here in Milano's in this restaurant, and we're having dinner with Craig, Craig Kelly, whatever. It's Craig and John Cardiel, Terrier, Gooch, and Craig just started flipping me shit. He's like, "What's that fucking thing you're doing up in the hill?" I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "To me, it looks like you're like buttering a muffin with a knife or something." Yeah. And like everybody just started busting up and laughing at me, like, so like that's where it was coined, like the name. Like Craig Kelly coined it.
I forgot that that's what they were called for the longest time.
What's that?
Buttering muffin.
Yeah, totally. Because Craig was just literally like this, like 2 tables over, like looks like you're just buttering the muffin.
It's
true,
actually.
I was like, and he was mocking me.
Yeah,
totally making fun of me.
No,
and it was pretty funny.
Yeah, I remember Peter. Actually, I don't know if you ever talked to Peter Line about it, but he started buttering off jumps. Like at speed, dude. And they were good.
No, I remember that too. And I remember that
Simple Pleasures. He had a couple of butters in that I was like,
backside 180 to switch 540.
That's right.
Yeah, to be honest, like I remember talking to him about that. Fucking, I used to do those on smaller park hits. I feel like I still could today with just the right little small kicker. Yeah. Because I can do like a backside butter, high speed, back manual, fakie 3 out, no problem, high speed. Yeah, I can do that at like 30. So I could still do a 5 easy. It's just another 180, really. I just haven't tried it. I haven't had the pop yet, like the little drop. I remember doing like butters up in Alaska to the point of annoyance with like Tex and all those guys. Or his First Descent or Line, one of those 2 movies that came out at the same time. Yeah. Texas flipped me shit because I used to go up there and I'd like those back blunt ones I was doing today. I'd lock those in for 100 yards in Alaska. Just like just forever. I love doing that more than anything. Just sitting on your nose. It's so fucking
cool
fun.
Seeing you do it in person. It's like I said, it was like I was inside a video.
Okay, Japan happened. We got kicked out of Japan. We were on Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz was ran by Europeans. They just licensed the Santa Cruz name out. So I knew right then and there, kicked out of Japan, the fact that we were making fun of the other Santa Cruz guys that night and like shit like that.
Yeah,
I was going to be off that team soon. There's only room for one. It was going to be Roach. And even with that, they just downplayed him forever. They didn't give him a pro model for 3 years. They didn't, they treated him like shit. But whatever. I just basically, I think Burt Lamar like heard about my plight and jumped on me. Basically, just saw like, you know what, dude? Basically, I'll give you $5,000 a month. When I was like 20 years old, And you can travel where the fuck you want, and I'll pay for it as long as you get a photo or something done on every trip. Everything's paid for. And so I took that as I'm gonna travel 10 months of the year. If when I'm on the road, everything's paid for, then I'm just gonna fucking travel.
Was that? So, did he have those like Lamar boards out at that time?
Yeah, the bad one, yeah.
The one with
and then like it went from that just straight to the Heineken graphic.
To your pro model.
Yeah.
Who did you do pro models with that first year? You.
It was me.
That was it.
Maybe Zabo the next year. Maybe Zabo and I came out at the same time. Well, the funniest part is like, as with everything in my life, I went exactly 180 degrees against whatever Craig Kelly was doing. Like, oh, Craig, you're going to kick your tail out on all your front side airs? Guess what? I'm going to kick my fucking nose out, and so with Craig, it was like his biggest rival, the person that everybody hated the most in the fucking world, Burt Lamar. Who did I go ride for? Burt Lamar. And Burt fucking knew it. Burt knew it. I think that's why he just gave me like a sum of money that I could not even deny for a second. It wasn't like, let me think about this. You know what I mean? It was like, yeah. Click. Hey, Mom, guess what? I can move out. It was almost this whole rivalry between those two. And Craig was eggy, not like directly eggy with me, but just say on the butter thing. He went out of his way to like publicly make fun of me for a while because I think he was pissed that like I was the marquee rider for his ex-rival. What a dick.
Why were they rivals? They were rivals over
because Burt Lamar's a schmuck. I love Burt, but like even he'll admit all this. Like we've talked days on it. But what Burt did for snowboarding and for Craig Kelly is he made Craig take himself seriously. Because Craig was kind of like, I'm not going to let this fucking guy just float in second day ever snowboarding and win a world championships. That ain't going to fucking happen anymore.
Yeah.
And Craig took himself seriously with sponsors because Burt had like all his skateboarding behind him, and so Burt could like, all of a sudden Burt was on these teams and these ads because he knew how to like market himself, and that's what Craig ultimately learned from Burt. I think, Burt gave that to the sport, you could say, because Craig was taking himself seriously, but again, it was sports unbridled. Yeah. Burt came from skateboarding; he knew how to do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And Craig followed that to whatever degree. He followed it maybe because he wanted it because he was pissed that Burt had it, and he wanted that, whatever sponsorship money was out there, or whatever. But I know that there's no Burt, Craig wouldn't have been pushed so hard in that way. You know what I mean?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's interesting, how it all plays a part, I
would have never guessed that in a million zillion years.
I kind of made that up right now, but
oh, good.
This is funny. Like I always wanted those yellow look bands. I never got them.
You never had them?
No, I was pissed. Like, there's one thing I could rummage through Craig's closet or like old shit and get and just keep forever. It'd be those yellow look bands.
I love it, dude.
And probably his like big fucking look wristband, like things that he used to use for gates, bashing gates.
Yeah, I remember buying the gloves that he had for gate bashing just because he had them. And that's crazy. Those look pants, you think that influenced the Burton yellow pants? Because those were a big deal.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because it popped out.
The whole team had them, right? Jacoby had them. Rushy even wore them.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's walk down to the shop and see if my boards are in. So my new boards, I think, are in right now.
Sick, dude. I want to see that
swallowtail.
Right. Do you have it?
Yeah.
Where is it at?
It's over at my friend Barney's.
They're just like...
No, I brought them from Hawaii. To be honest, I'm selling all three of them to... In order for me to be able to like leave Maui for the winter and be a part of D-Day and really make D-Day happen, I need my bills paid in Maui for 3 or 4 months. D-Day cannot just like money out of nowhere and do that. That's just not magic doesn't happen on that end. So I'm like, I just know this is the most critical year of our company, and I could say do a trip here and there. And then go back there and work my ass off and pay my rent, and then come back and scramble back for a weekend trip, or sell my 3 of my old boards and be able to just pay my bills for the winter and go back and forth. So that's what I'm doing.
There's something in me that my heart is breaking right now.
Not even to me it's like I'm utilizing my first favorite boards to start my company. And there's nothing better I could ever do with them. Sitting on them for fucking 20 years would, I'd look at them in 20 years and be like, well, that's, whatever, they're cool. But knowing that I use them to start my company, if I was just destitute and just selling them to sell and I'm scrambling in life, no, I'm not in a personal position to be able to just pay, you know, 6 bills in six
Yeah.
months in bills.
Can't do it.
And my brand isn't yet either. But at the same time, in the next 6 months is so critical for me to be on snow and like be a part of it. Otherwise, I'll be over there scrambling to come over here every 4 weeks for 2 days.
To try and get a shot.
Exactly,
Whatever,
be stressed.
Like,
and this way, I can use my old boards and like pay for that, and just kind of like, you know, not put my feet up, but like be able to like relax and know that those boards are going to a great fucking home. They're going to be taken care of. They weren't with me. They're just sitting in a box for 30 fucking years.
Right.
Literally, I didn't have them on my wall. You know, I didn't even think of it ever once. You know,
now you've got, it's kind of
more
like
I've got these 3 boards, and I'm like, you know what?
Gold mine.
This is what is going to help me fund my own snowboard company.
So, what boards are they? So there's the Canoe, Swallowtail.
The first roundtail they ever made, the Swallowtail, and then the second or third roundtail they ever made.
The first roundtail ever made?
Yeah, from them, from Canoe. Because I was going back between Sims and Canoe, and like on Sims I had a roundtail.
Yeah.
Like, well, fuck, if I'm gonna ride for you, I need a roundtail.
Is that like a connection there? Like you like kind of bug them like?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Really?
Yeah, totally. I mean, they would have made it probably within 2 months anyways.
Right.
You know what I mean? Absolutely.
But you're like, hey, dude, this is the thing.
Yeah.
These are the fucking.
So I was like, yeah, I want to ride for you guys, but I can't not ride this kidwall because I can ride it backwards. I can't ride any shit backwards.
At this point, we walked to an unlocked garage about a block away, and I got to see the 3 GNU snowboards Mike was selling to finance this year's snowboarding. They were insane. I've been to Paris, France, and seen the Mona Lisa, and honestly, this was better. I held the boards and flexed them, looked at the binding rash and base gouges, and I could imagine a young Mike Ranquet, his whole adult life ahead of him, riding these boards at an empty Mount Baker. And now, the boards were going to a new home in Utah, and Ranquet picked up and started playing a ukulele.
Oh yeah, nice. I'm going back to Naples Falls.
So what are you thinking?
Alright, so Bert Lamar woos you away from...
Hey, really quick, just because we know this is going to be long, you're coming here let's do another one on Thursday. Let's finish this, whatever you want to do, but you can come back down and do it. You know what I mean? We can do another one easily.
Well, why don't I bring a photographer down, like a legit
that
guy,
would rule.
and then we'll do a photo shoot in the sun, and then sit back and smoke a couple after, and okay. I'll figure out
now my head's in it again, kind of reminded me of what we talked about before.
Yeah, let's do that. We didn't reconnect after that day, but riding with Mike Ranquet changed my life. He's really that good. Like a Tony Hawk or a Jerry Lopez, he's still got that thing that makes him one of the greats of our sport. And I'm convinced that we all owe him a debt of gratitude for pushing to make snowboarding legit. Thanks, Mike. And thanks to all of you for listening. Make sure you come back next week for the season finale of FNRad Snowboarding Podcast with my personal favorite OG snowboarder, Damian Sanders. Brought to you by BR Productions.